The Many Doors of Tom Sawyer Part 2, The Hunger Stones. So endeth this chronicle. It being strictly a history of a boy, it must stop here. The story could not go much further without becoming the history of a man. When one writes a novel about grown people, he knows exactly where to stop, that is, with a marriage, but when he writes of juveniles, he must stop where he best can. Most of the characters that perform in this book still live, and are prosperous and happy. Some day it may seem worthwhile to take up the story of the younger ones again and see what sort of men and women they turned out to be, therefore it will be wisest not to reveal any of that part of their lives at present. Mark Twain. But, Twain never spoke of the history of Sawyer again. That is until he came back into his life and told him the tales of the mysterious stranger. Tom, still slumped in fear and studying the cold pizza from my kitchen, jumped like a frog in a hot pan when I asked him to tell me the other things that he had saw past each door that he had opened. It wasn't that he refused to talk, it was the fact that he couldn't grasp the things that he had seen. Thinking of something my great-aunt had written down, she said if food couldn't open a man's heart, the strong drink would. Each New Year I have a bad habit of buying a bottle of evil green absinthe. The stories of absinthe were strong in the family, and as the new year approached I would always have more than a half of a bottle left. My great-aunt was the early version of a fan woman or boy, being consumed by the books that filled her house. She would later in life make it a point to meet her favorite writers, one of which was Mark Twain. According to her, one of his favorite afternoon drinks was a combination of absinthe and ginger ale. He had lovingly named the evil fountain of joy his green champagne. He would openly drink it as he dressed in white and rode around Mississippi in a white horse-drawn carriage as he mingled with the locals. I grabbed the absinthe and ginger ale and topped it off with some ice and set it down in front of Tom. "What's this?" he asked. "Just something to help you figure out which door you should open." To be frank, I wondered if this wasn't some type of surprised Twain madness, fueled by years of absinthe use and imagination. And then Tom spoke. The first door took me to a place where winter had disappeared. Heat and hunger was on the minds of everyone around, most too miserable to see me. It was hotter than any summer I have ever felt on the farm. In the corner of the room the first door opened, was a little man that sat in front of a cooling device. The heat must have drove him mad. He talked of the hunger stones. When I asked the little man what the hunger stones were, he went into what reminded me of the history lessons from the little red schoolhouse of my youth. Forgive me, mister, if I get this wrong, but I listened and believed him, because he believed it. This summer has been an unusually hot one across many regions in Europe and the Americas. Temperatures have been record-breaking while rain is at an all-time low. The unusually warm weather and drought has come something even stranger, the appearance of boulders with words inscribed onto them, known as hunger stones. The stones date back to ancient societies and have appeared in Czechia following a prolonged drought. The inscriptions on the stones are grim, giving warnings. The rocks are hidden under the water line of the Elbe River, but due to the drought, the water has receded. The water line is at an all-time low, leaving the rocks along with their carvings clearly in view. "We should have heeded their warning," said the little man. As the land became dry and with no signs of the drought ending, over 12 of the hunger stones have become visible in the region of Decin. The stones reveal that many centuries ago the water level did not reach that high. The colossal rock bears the inscription "When du mich siehst, dann wein," which when translated means "If you see me, weep." It dates back to 1616, commemorating droughts that stem back to 1417 and foretold our futures. The little man started to cry as a woman brought him a cup of the cold things you gave me in this cup of medicine. "You're right, mister, this stuff helps a lot." Tom reached in his pocket of his bib overalls and handed me a paper. The little man gave me this. On it was written "Hunger Stones, one of the first things that stood out to me was the numerous stones have risen from the depths of the water again this year, 2018, all of them giving out warnings that are dire. Another one has the words, "If you again see this stone, so you will weep." So shallow the water was in the year 1417. Other rocks have inscriptions saying, we cry and you will cry, and who once saw me, he cried. Whoever sees me now will cry. And now as I write this, I check back and find that the river Elba is today at the lowest it has ever been in more than half a century. With the drought in full force, it brings with it another reminder of a time of misery for the people. World War II bombs and grenades that are unexploded, which have been corroding away for more than 70 years. And I wonder if Tom could have opened a door to our futures. Tom had much more to say about other doors and the things he saw,